There's been a sudden shift in the direction the Los Angeles Lakers could be heading this offseason, following a fresh report involving veteran big man Al Horford. The update, as discussed on ESPN SportsCenter, has really caught some people off guard, not just because of the timing, but also because of what it could signal for LA's front-court rotation. So, let's break this all down. Not only what's being reported, but also what it might mean going forward. And just to set the stage, this offseason has already been full of interesting moves. The Lakers are trying to navigate the post-draft period with Summer League in full swing, a few younger guys stepping up, and Rob Pelinka facing some critical decisions on how to shape a roster capable of contending. Now, despite a lot of chatter over the past week that Horford was just about ready to sign with the Golden State Warriors, that was what most insiders had been suggesting, including Mark Stein, something has shifted. A new report has surfaced suggesting that the Lakers are still seriously in the mix for Horford. It's unclear what changed between him and Golden State, but the fact that LA is still pursuing him adds a whole new layer to the Lakers' offseason. Right now, the Lakers have already added DeAndre Ayton, Jackson Hayes, and Maxi Kleber to the mix. But despite that depth up front, they apparently still believe Horford could bring something important to the table. Even after Ayton's deal went through on July 2nd, ESPN reported the Lakers remained aggressive in their efforts to land Horford. And even now, 2 weeks later, he hasn't signed with anyone. The Celtics aren't expected to bring him back. That left most people assuming it was Golden State or bust. But now, according to ESPN's Mark Spears, the Lakers remain in play for the 39-year-old forward center. That could signal the team isn't completely satisfied with its current front court, especially when it comes to depth and championship-level experience. Sure, DeAndre Ayton is expected to be the starter. No surprises there. But once you get past him, how much trust do the Lakers really have in the rest of that group? Jackson Hayes, who was just signed recently, had some good moments with Luka Doncic in Dallas, but moving him to a third-string role might actually be ideal for a team with title ambition. It also shows just how much depth Pelinka is trying to load up on. And just to clarify what SportsCenter laid out, Golden State was widely expected to close the deal with Horford last week. That didn't happen. And now, along with LA, teams like Milwaukee and Atlanta are also in the mix. Horford hasn't made a decision, and retirement is still on the table. He's got a sixth child on the way and has been spending the offseason in both Atlanta and Boston. But according to ESPN sources, the decision isn't likely to hinge on distance from his family. Whether it's Golden State or LA, geography isn't a deal-breaker, which is surprising to hear, considering his age and family situation. That said, he is still coming off a productive season. He's not a star anymore, but he's been a consistent, reliable piece wherever he's gone. From ESPN's perspective, Horford's not exactly LA's top priority right now. The Lakers have more immediate needs, like finding a strong on-ball defender and addressing several holes across the rotation, especially with the bench unit looking very thin at the moment. Gabe Vincent is returning, and Bronny James has reportedly made some promising strides. It wouldn't be shocking if he earns some actual playing time next season. Beyond that, though, the second unit lacks depth. Jake LaRavia is around, and maybe Dalton Knecht finds his rhythm in year 2, but that's more hopeful than guaranteed. The Lakers need dependable contributors now. So, would Horford help fix the bench scoring issue? Not directly. He's not a volume scorer. But his presence could ease the burden on Ayton and help stabilize the second unit. He's a high IQ player, a solid passer, and a capable outside shooter. And in the modern NBA, having a big who can stretch the floor is incredibly valuable, especially when playing alongside high-usage stars like Luka or LeBron. That's likely the angle LA is taking here. Horford shot 36% from 3 last season, and in previous years, he hit 41%, even 45%. That kind of shooting from a big man opens up so much offensively. If you compare that to what Hayes or Kleber bring, Horford arguably offers more reliability and playoff experience, even if he ends up coming off the bench, which he's done in Boston over the past couple of years. He can still play meaningful minutes. That versatility, starting or bench, is exactly what a contender needs. There's also the possibility that Horford becomes a fallback option. Let's say Ayton doesn't live up to expectation, and with his past attitude issues, that's not impossible. Horford gives the Lakers a veteran they can trust, someone who's been in high-pressure situations and knows how to manage the game. It's about stabilizing the locker room as much as stabilizing the court. And if LA ends up putting together a second unit that features Austin Reaves and Horford, Reaves being used as a playmaker like last season, that's a much more functional bench group. Hayes can still serve as a situational piece against certain matchups, but Horford brings a level of composure and versatility you don't often find in backups. At the end of the day, even though Horford's approaching 40, he's still contributing 9 points, 6 rebounds, 1 block per game, and solid 3-point shooting. He knows how to come off the bench, and he's not going to demand the spotlight. On a 1-year, $5 million deal, that's a move the Lakers would feel very comfortable with. That's where things really get intriguing. The reason LA is still actively pursuing Al Horford, despite their depth, is because he checks a very specific box that's becoming more important by the year: the stretch 5. In today's NBA, having a center who can space the floor is a huge advantage, and Horford still provides that at a high level. Last season, he averaged 9 points, 6 rebounds, and a block per game. Solid numbers for someone nearing 40. More importantly, his shooting continues to be reliable. That's what's driving this interest from the Lakers. He fits into the second unit better than either Jackson Hayes or Maxi Kleber, simply because he can contribute on both ends and serve as a stabilizer, a real glue guy. And look, while DeAndre Ayton is clearly being penciled in as the starter, Horford could be a fallback option if things don't pan out. Ayton's talent is undeniable, but his past attitude issues have created some concerns around the league. Horford, on the other hand, brings a winning pedigree. He helped Boston reach the finals just 2 seasons ago and could quietly anchor that second unit with poise and intelligence. Now imagine a bench led by Austin Reaves and Al Horford. Reaves may start, sure, but we saw how often he ran point for the second unit last year. Pairing him with Horford adds structure, spacing, and basketball IQ to the lineup. Hayes is more of a matchup-based piece. He brings energy and athleticism, but Horford is the guy you trust to make the right reads, run the offense from the top of the key, and knock down open threes when needed. And for those wondering about Horford's age, sure, he's turning 39, but he's still effective. He shot 36% from 3 last year, and in the seasons before that, 41%, and even 45%. That kind of shooting from a big is extremely rare. Plus, he's comfortable coming off the bench, having played both roles during his recent stint with the Celtics. He gives the Lakers insurance, veteran, playoff-tested, and capable of impacting the game in subtle but meaningful way. Back at the start of the month, there were reports, also mentioned on ESPN, that LA had already offered him their biannual exception, around $5 million. Whether that offer still stands in full, or if their salary flexibility has changed after recent moves, remains to be seen. But Horford isn't the only name being floated right now. Another name that keeps coming up is DeAnthony Melton. He was also linked to Golden State, just like Horford, but neither of those deals have happened yet. It raises the question, are the Warriors falling behind in free agency? Or are players like Horford and Melton simply waiting out the market? For LA, the sense around the league is that they're being deliberate. They're not rushing into moves. They're evaluating where they can find the best value, especially in roles like point-of-attack defender. That's a huge need right now. There are still players like Josh Okogie available, solid defensive options who could help cover some of the perimeter gaps. So don't be surprised if we see multiple moves coming soon from the Lakers. The front office knows this roster isn't quite complete yet. It's gotten stronger. Replacing Jackson Hayes as your starting center with DeAndre Ayton is a major upgrade, but other parts still need attention. For instance, they lost Dorian Finney-Smith, a useful bench piece, and are now hoping younger players like Jake LaRavia can take a step forward. LaRavia's development is going to be key. If he finds his rhythm, and becomes a steady contributor, it could help solve some of those second-unit issues. But that's a gamble, not a guarantee. As for Horford, he seems like an ideal piece to fill in the gap. A low-risk, high-impact addition who could make a quiet but important difference. And that brings us back to the larger question ESPN raised: is LA better off locking in a player like Horford now, or focusing on other, more pressing roster needs? We also can't ignore how fast things can shift in this league. Jackson Hayes likely assumed he'd be the primary backup when he signed, but roles change overnight. In the NBA, flexibility is everything, and Horford gives LA more of it. Before we wrap this segment, SportsCenter also shared a tweet that's been floating around NBA Twitter this week, and it's related to the Lakers' future draft plans. It came from Trevor Lane, reacting to recent comments from NBA executives expressing concern about the lack of elite talent projected in the 2027 draft. That's right, front offices are already re-evaluating long-term strategy based on what looks like a weak incoming class years down the line. Lane joked that the Jazz will never trade with the Lakers again, referencing the fallout of the Rudy Gobert trade and how that reshaped multiple rosters, including LA. But it also points to something deeper. Teams are becoming more aggressive now, knowing that future picks may not be as valuable as they once appeared. Jonathan Givney reported that several front offices are raising alarms about the 2027 draft class's lack of star power. That's influencing how teams approach trades and free agent deals right now, including the Lakers. It's not just about this season, it's about how to set up a roster that stays competitive even if the next generation of talent takes a step back. And for LA, that might mean being extra aggressive in the short term. If 2027's draft isn't the gold mine some thought, then building with proven veterans like Al Horford, even at age 39, becomes more valuable. It's not just a depth move, it's a hedge against a future where young stars may be harder to come by. Some people are already feeling a bit uneasy about the lack of star talent projected for the 2027 draft class. And that caught my attention, especially since the Jazz made that trade with the Lakers to help make the Luka Doncic deal happen. There are a lot of moving parts here, and obviously, Danny Ainge is going to be a key figure in how this all unfolds. But let me know what you think about it in the comments. I just thought it was worth mentioning. The Lakers are clearly in win-now mode, so the draft isn't really their focus at the moment. Still, it was an interesting detail that slipped out, and the Lakers being part of it, even indirectly, makes it something to watch. Anyway, that wraps it up. Let me know your thoughts on that, and the Al Horford situation too. See you next time.